And here we go. Digital Adele back with another Hoops Profile Beyond the Backboard podcast for you with my co-host, Matt Hanifan. How you doing today, Matt?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's Tuesday. The second round of the NBA playoffs just started. We're less than a week away from the draft lottery, which we'll be talking about a little bit today. It's about dang time. I'm not going to repeat exactly verbatim what LeBron said in 2012, but yeah, man, it's right around the corner. We finally get to see, how this shapes up. We saw the Hawks, I think, jump 9 or 10 spots last year. Usually something crazy like that happens every once in a while. I'm not anticipating something like that happening this year. But I'm just very interested to see, considering how awesome this class is at the top, how it all shakes out. And then we'll finally, the draft combine starts next week. The G League Elite Camp, which is the G League Combine, that starts the end of this week. And so we're finally starting to get into it, and we'll know measurements for these guys and all that stuff. But I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Oh, dude, I'm doing awesome. I'm super excited, man. Playoff basketball has been amazing the past couple of days, dude. That ending in the Denver game, some boneheaded coaching decisions. Well, I wanted to talk about the Denver game because of the boneheaded coaching decision for them to just keep fouling immediately and extending the game for the best player on the planet at the moment. So that seems like a fool's errand and not the best coaching strategy.
Well, it's not even just that they fouled immediately. It's at one point they fouled immediately with Jokic at the scorer's table.
Yes, at the scorer's table, out of the game.
That's the part that gets lost because he got checked out. I can't remember the exact situation. There was like 10 seconds left or something around that.
No, it was it was like 12.9 seconds.
Yeah.
They could have let time run off the clock. There's so many factors.
Yeah, right.
Nope, foul Aaron Gordon immediately.
Yeah, like I don't know. Both the endings to both games were referencing the game one of Thunder Nuggets and then Celtics Knicks. Both were awesome just because both were kind of blowouts, or at least in Knicks Celtics was definitely a blowout, especially in that second half. And then, they miraculously come back. The Celtics missed like 100 threes. So that wasn't great for them. That happens to them a few times every postseason. Right. There's just a game where you look them, they're like, wait, they're 10 of 55. Like,
because they're going to keep taking them.
Yeah. That's right. Whether that's good, bad, neither here nor there, but that's something that does happen to them. But yeah, like that was a pretty boneheaded coaching thing by Dagnall, who's a very good coach. Like he's one of the
very good coach, very good coach. Bad decision. Yeah, very bad decision. Or I mean, it seems like it was his call. Like, was it bad execution by the players? Maybe. I don't know. Either way, it was bad. It was bad all around. But the basketball was exciting. Aaron Gordon hit a wide open three off of a transition assist by Westbrook and Jalen Brunson. I've been saying this for a very long time. Now, the flopping stuff he started recently has been getting on my nerves.
He's been doing that forever.
Well, not as much. He hasn't been flopping nearly as much as recently. He's taken it to almost James Harden levels.
Yeah, fair.
But man, he's so talented, incredibly talented. The player that small, he's super technically sound. His footwork, he's a freaking pit bull. And man, does he hit clutch shots, unlike James Harden. He hits very clutch shots in the playoffs. But we're all here to talk about this one sound. Can't wait, man. It's on the way, baby. June 25th and 26th, because, they want to be the NFL. And hey, we can be the Mel Kiper. We can be the Todd McShay of the NBA. Why not? It could happen, and we could probably do a little bit better job now because Mel's getting up there in age, doesn't have the same sort of time and resources. We are coming for the throne, baby.
We're gonna scream about Sugar Sanders for 3 hours on the NBA draft.
That's right. Feed. How did he not get drafted?
How did Von Knipple fall to 27? What?
Oh my God! Oh, dude, if he fell to 20, The fan base, but not even for my purposes because I think he's a great basketball player. The fan base would lose their collective marbles if
in a good way or bad way?
In a bad way. Because our fan base is passionate as they are. They don't understand the nuance and difference between Con Knipple and Luke Kennard for some reason. But anyway, let's get into what we really want to talk about, and that is your roadmap, your guide to the 2025 NBA draft of what's coming up. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get right into it. So we're going to start with something that's actually already been passed, and that is April 26th was the NBA early entry deadline. This is brought to you by NBA.com and none other than Sam Vecini, who's apparently put all this stuff together in one place, if I remember correctly. Nope, I guess it was just one article.
It was just NBA.com. They did that as a site.
Yeah, they did it as a site. I swear I saw his name. Oh, it is right here.
Well, they linked his article from The Athletic.
Gotcha. I should have read that the whole way through. I didn't. That's on me. But anyway, back to the early entry. Anything stand out to you about the early entry deadline that has just passed?
Well, only I want to say it was it 106 or
106? I got the article right here.
Yeah, 106. The only 106 players, declared for the early entry. That's significantly lower than it's been in years past. That's a lot of it's due to NIL. Players going back for more money if they're not going to have guaranteed contracts, whether they're second round picks or undrafted. Like that's going to be a new thing. We're going to continue to see that decrease. It has decreased, I want to say, the last couple of years, but this time it decreased significantly. Like usually you see over 200 players. And that just wasn't the case this year. Not too much of a surprise, but when you compare it to how it's been in years past, it's like, whoa. But other than that, nothing particularly crazy.
Absolutely. There wasn't really too many surprises in terms of names on the list, but the surprising part was the lack of players on the list. And if you were in college, and I'm going to give a Boogie Fland example, it's alleged the Boogie Fland may get like $5 to $7 million to go to, which school was it? Was it Auburn? No. What school? Florida.
I was going to say it just might be in general.
No, it was Florida. The reported he has a $5 to $7 million offer to go to University of Florida for the Florida Gators, national champs. So yeah, if you're going to get that kind of bag, man, and you're not assured to be in the lottery or top 25, I'm not risking sliding into that second round. I'm going back to school, taking the bag.
I'm taking that money so fast.
Absolutely.
So fast. Like, I think NIL has become this is like a discussion for another pod. It has become like a problem because there isn't much of any structure, both in football, basketball, and really any other sport. But those are the two big money makers, and so those are what the people focus on. But there really isn't like a whole lot of structure when it comes to it. And like, considering this has been introduced over the last 3, 4, 5 years, like you don't expect there to be much structure. And once it gets out of hand, that's when guidelines are going to be put in place. But for now, like if I'm a player, like if I'm getting, because players on two-way contracts make, $550K or roughly.
Right.
Obviously in this new CBA, they introduced the second round exception to where players can make, I think like anywhere between like 1 to 2 million within the first couple of years of their contract. Like Pelle Larsson was one who is making like 1.5 million, somewhere in that range. And he was on a second round exception. Like,
yeah. And
then obviously how it, goes from like the rookie scale of like players at the top of the class making, I don't remember the exact amount, but I'll just for the sake of conversation, like 8 to 12 million in their first year. And then obviously it goes down based like 1 through 30. So like if you're not going to be one of those top guys, or if you're not going to be one of those top guys, and you could potentially fall out of the second round to where you may not get a guaranteed contract, whether it's partially guaranteed, non-guaranteed, whatever the case is, for just a couple of, like, yeah, you're going to take that money.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. I wanted to talk about a couple of players on this list real quick while I have it up. Almanza, we saw him play in the G League prior to going overseas. I find it funny because he's not in school, so they just list his date of birth.
They did that for all the international G League guys.
Yeah, it's just really funny. So, like, I mean, maybe just put their age, their date of birth. Like, it's just weird. But there's not much that really sticks out. I mean, Carter Bryant's interesting. I think he could still go back to school possibly, but he's getting such good buzz. I don't see that as likely. I'm interested to watch more of Coward. I haven't watched him and isolated him. I did watch some Washington State. Who's the other kid from Washington State? The big guy. Who was that guy? Yeah. What was his name? Older prospect. He's been in school for forever.
I'm trying to remember, and I can't remember off the top.
He's just like, he's a hustle guy. He's not super skilled. What is that kid's name? Anyway, if it comes back to me, because this doesn't make compelling radio, or podcast or YouTube for me to just go, what? Sayless D says not so many wings available in the top 20. So Bryant and Clifford will probably get picked higher. I believe we actually talked about that in the 5 on the Floor Discord for 5 Reasons Sports. In the draft channel where I typically roam. There's not very many wings. So I like your point, Sayless D, because it was probably my own. Not conceited of me at all. I'm interested in Jaeger, how he does since he's in this draft. So I'm not very high on him from the tape I saw in college. So I'm very interested to see what his measurables are, what his wingspan looks like, his hand size. But we could talk about that more with one of the other events on this list. But I don't know why they have Yaxel Lendenborg still on here, because he basically is committed to taking that NIL money.
Yeah, I mean, these are just players who declared. Like, there was someone who took their name out recently who might be on this list. I can't remember who it was. By the name, I just looked up. The guy you're potentially looking for is Ethan Price.
Could be Ethan Price. Yeah, that could be
from Washington State.
Yeah, it's probably Ethan Price. Thank you. Sayless D also put Ethan Price. Yannick is interesting for Penn State. You're gonna see videos of Yannick do things at like the combine, for example, and people are gonna be, oh my God, how is this guy not a first round pick? He's a first round pick. People got to take him. And then you turn on the tape and you watch the tape and you're like, oh, okay, I understand.
Did lead the Big Ten in blocks though.
What's up? Oh yeah. Well, he's an insane athlete. Like, I mean, 2-footed leaper. He will block shots. That's what he does. But his motor, dare I say, his footwork, his body positioning, defensive IQ, there's a lot there. Ortega always interesting to me. I mean, if he's 6'4", I mean, he's going to be 220 pounds. If I have a second round pick, that's a great second round pick.
I agree.
Like, I don't think he's a first round guy by any means, but anywhere in that second round, I think that's a great one. Dink Pate, we've talked about him. I know you haven't watched him much, but I'm all the way out on Dink Pate. But yeah, there's not really a lot of guys on here that are surprising or interesting. Jameer Watkins is another one. You're going to hear a lot about him. He's going to be an undrafted guy that people are going to be like, why didn't he get drafted? But he's got all the tools. He looks the part. And then you turn on the tape and you're like, oh, again, I understand. Your guy, Darian Williams.
To me, he's a guy who I think will go back to school.
Yep. I agree.
For
get that money.
Get that money, man.
So the international guys, there's somebody, again, shout out to Discord.
Oh my gosh.
In the Discord that is
I know exactly where you're going with this.
On Nicholas Avadalis from Greece, 6'7", based off of strictly 15 minutes of highlights. He believes the Miami Heat should be all in on this kid. Affectionately nicknamed already. He has a nickname already, Neo. Joan Behringer, I like him a lot, so I'm glad. Look at Say Less D shouting out the person in our playback chat. So join playback.tv/hoops profile, and you will know the name. Is there anybody? I mean, you don't watch the international guys, so we're going to move on.
I was going to say, like, I still haven't watched much tape from most of these international guys.
Hansen Yang is another one.
Viewers, but
Hansen Yang, the guy from China, 6'1", he's very interesting as a second round pick. He's got all the tools offensively. I mean, all the tools. Defensively, that's the tools. You heard the tools. Defensively, there were none. Just silence. So let's move on. May 9th through 11th is the next big thing on your NBA draft calendar for 2025. Sayless D says Adele doesn't like many overseas prospects, like Pat. Me and Pat Riley have a lot in common. That's right. Talk to me what you're looking forward to, Matt, about the G League Combine.
I think always when it comes to the G League Combine, like, yes, these were players who are not invited to the NBA Combine. But the thing I always look forward to is which players stand out, because there's usually a few invites from the G League Combine to the actual Combine.
Right.
Or what they call the G League Elite Camp. There's usually, 1, 2, maybe 3 guys who always get elevated up. That doesn't mean they're going to be like for sure picks or anything, but like if you stand out in those scrimmages or in those tests or whatever, like there's a chance for you to elevate yourself up and like.
Isn't that how Ulrich Chomsky got invited to the NBA Combine?
I don't remember.
Or was that just Boogie Ellis?
I was gonna say it was. I know Ellis was like the big one.
Yeah, Boogie Ellis definitely did. I think Chomsky was one of them. I do. I think he was.
I can't remember if he was on there or not. I can look it up.
Because Chomsky was from the NBL. He was from the NBL, the Africa League. And I think he got the invite to the G League and to the G League camp and then got invited to the NBA Combine. But I could be wrong about that. Who knows? But yeah, let's move on. The May 11th through May 18th. This is it. The coup de grace. Yep. The NBA Draft Combine. Now, we're not going to get into how terrible the coverage was, where we were trying to watch the scrimmages and they just kept zooming in on people we did not care to hear from. We wanted to see the basketball. We're not going to talk about that.
That happens every year, and they're not going to change it.
It's so bad, though. Who are they pulling in with this format? What person flips on the draft combine and is like, I want to hear this guy speak and only this guy's head on the screen? While basketball, you can hear the basketball being played in the background.
It's the most annoying thing every year, and I'm wholeheartedly with you. Like,
who are they appealing to?
At ESPN production team, like, what are we doing, man?
I didn't.
I know people. I think the argument, the counter argument, it's not even really a counter argument, but like, there's so many. There's a lot of people in today's society who want to put name to face.
Yeah,
and they don't want to just hear guys like talk in the background, and so like, I think that's their introduction. But like, at least have a half and half or something like that,
right? You know or put them small,
yeah,
in the game in the background,
right? I'm with you, but like, I think that's like maybe the biggest reason. I don't know.
And now to you, Matt Hanifan. Let's interview Tyrese Proctor in the middle of the game.
Yeah, right. It drives me crazy every year.
Right, like I'm watching in the background to try to see if I can just catch a glimpse of something happening. Looking around, trying to see people's heads. But no, that's the thing I look forward to the least. But what I look forward to the most are the measurables, the arm length, hand size, the true heights, body fat percentage, all that stuff. That's the meat and potatoes of the combine. And for me, and of course, the scrimmage.
Yeah.
The other drills, how high did he jump? The broad jump, the short shuttle, this, that. I care about it a little bit, not very much. What about you, Matt? What stands out to you about the NBA Combine?
I think a lot of it's like the wingspan, the standing reach. I think for me at least, when you're looking at guys in the front court, specifically bigs, I think that's really important. Like, considering, I'm not gonna say small ball's dead. I don't think small ball's dead, but like I think more teams are gonna try to become lineup versatile,
right,
with how they operate in their front court, and like so we see teams with more positional size really all around, not just in the front court, but just like for an emphasis on that, like, standing reach is going to matter. Like,
right.
that, I think that's important, as well as wingspan.
Right.
Vertical is the vertical is something to me that I'm always curious with. Obviously the measurables, with like, the hand size and whatnot, something that like over the past few years I've locked into a little bit more. But I think really those like first few things, the wingspan, the standing reach, specifically for bigs.
Right.
The vertical is something that like I'm always curious by, whether it's just a standing vert or a max vert. Like those are really the things that I lock into from like a measurables perspective.
Right.
Obviously everything else is like fine and dandy, but like the thing that annoys me every year, and this isn't a knock on the players or anything like that, but like the shooting.
Yeah.
Is like
the empty gym shooting.
Yeah, you can be great in an open gym.
Right.
Obviously, this is like a job interview to all of these players.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's going to translate to the game. Like Zach Edey was one, I think, last year who like had a great shooting where like
even Eve Misi had a pretty good one too.
Yeah, like, and it's just like that doesn't mean this is going to translate to an actual game. Like do it in an actual game.
Right.
For me to be convinced that this is something that will happen in the short term and long term.
And something you see on tape isn't going to change from what you see in empty gym. It's not like we saw what Zach Edey did and we were like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy's Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah. But that happens.
Trust your film. You trust your film.
Yeah, that happens all the time. But I think my meat and potatoes is the scrimmages.
Scrimmages are great. Yeah.
Just because like there's always a couple of like standouts. Like the one that I point to was Jalen Williams.
Yeah,
Jalen Williams was phenomenal during his combine scrimmages. A couple of years ago, he was a late riser in the pre-draft process. Obviously, gets selected in the middle of the first Oklahoma City, and now you see he's kind of become. Not that every player is going to have that same level of trajectory, but like the guys
That's a good example.
The guys who I think like impressed during those scrimmages versus not impressed, because
I got a good one for you just this past draft. AJ Johnson.
Yeah.
AJ Johnson showed his versatility, picking up 94 feet.
Yep.
Able to handle and run an NBA offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like this is the first time that you're seeing these players operate on an NBA court. Like there's going to be more spacing. Right. Obviously they're playing with each other for the first time. And so like who sticks out from like a leadership perspective? If you don't have the ball in your hands, how are you impacting the game otherwise? Like, not every dude's going to have the ball in his hands for X amount of possessions. And so like, are you screening? Are you cutting? Are you doing the little things defensively? Are you rebounding? Are you doing all of those little
Are you being a good teammate? Are you encouraging people when they make a mistake, setting them where they need to be? Or are you sulking and pouting, having a general bad body language?
Yeah, like how do you respond to that? Because obviously for all of these players, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be similar to what they did in college. And so how do they adapt on the fly? Is something that like I look out for, and you only have 2 games to show yourself.
I agree. Real quick here, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're here on playback.tv/hoops profile, drop us a comment on either platform. We want to hear from you throughout the show. We're always reading comments. Sayless D says Adele turned into Pat Riley with these body fat to BMI ratio. I'm glad you mentioned that because Ethan Skolnick and I from 5 Reasons Sports did a podcast on finding the next great Miami Heat guard. And what I did was in a spreadsheet, I looked at all the successful guard/wing archetypes since Dwayne Wade. What was that, 2003 when he was drafted? And body fat percentage is one of the biggest indicators among them of do they have potential to be a franchise-changing player? And the average was 5.82% body fat. It's pretty low.
Yeah.
The outlier of the group, can you guess who the outlier of the group was?
Over the last however many drafts?
Yeah.
Ooh. Is it, I'm just going to ask for one hint, only one. Is it someone within the last 5 drafts?
No.
No.
They're pretty old now. And once I tell you who it is, you're going to go, that makes a lot of sense.
It's got to be Shaq, right?
No, well, Shaq was. This is anybody after they were drafted, Dwayne Wade and after.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant from like the 1980s until.
Oh, no. That was the NBA exercise I did in first round picks, like the all NBA guys. That was back to the 80s. It's a tough one. I don't want to be eternal and make you guess like a million.
What is it?
It's James Harden. He had 10% body fat.
Okay, you said pretty old, and I was like, this player has to be retired.
Dude's like 37, 38 now, man. It's pretty old.
Yeah, he just finished up, I think, his age 35.
30, whatever, somewhere around there. He's pretty old, man. That's not young.
I thought my brain, I thought you meant like someone who's like retired.
I did say 2003 and up. But anyway, 10.10%. He came into the league chunky. Now, the other thing that made a lot of sense is the actual body weight, about 204 pounds on average for an elite guard/wing. Wingspan makes a huge difference. The lowest wingspan person is Steph Curry, and it makes a lot of sense because he's not very tall. He's a unicorn of what he does. And then wingspan to height ratio. Nobody has a negative wingspan on this group. Sorry, Tyler. and there's 19 people on my list. No, 18 people on my list. So, yeah, that's why that stuff matters.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that more as we go throughout the draft process. And it's something for you, the viewer, to look for at the NBA Combine. Matt, what's next on the list? You want to take the next one?
Yeah, the draft lottery, man.
Wait, Matt, before you go any further, what was that word you said?
The draft lottery. NBA draft lottery.
I can't wait. Fired up.
I'm pulling up the odds on my screen. But anyway, we get to see who wins the capture the flag sweepstakes.
Let's go. They should make it like a Halo tournament where the CEOs have to get like a PlayStation 5 an Xbox Series X and play Halo to literally play capture the flag to see who gets Cooper flag. That would be infinitely more entertaining.
If I was a GM, I would hope every GM do this. But if I was a GM, or not really, but the person, like the people who represent each team, like
right,
like the board, I would bring like a capture the flag with like a flag with Cooper Flag's face on it.
Oh, that's great.
And so if I by any chance won the lottery, I just start waving it.
Or you could bring a flag from Mario, from like that's at the end of the castle, have a little Mario figure on the flag with Cooper Flag's face on.
You could do that too.
You do that too. And then when you capture the flag, he like slides down the flag. Anyway, I've gone way down the rabbit hole. Continue.
Anyway, so 14 teams are in this draft lottery. The Utah Jazz, Washington Wizards, and Charlotte Hornets are the team with the highest percent chance of landing the number one pick, 14%. Those were the three worst teams in the NBA this season by record, which is why they have the best odds. Pelicans, 12.5%. The Philadelphia 76ers, 10.5%. You go on down the list to the Atlanta Hawks, who they have a 0.7% chance at landing the number one pick. 97% chance roughly at landing the 14th pick. Just again, all of this is sorted based off of win-loss record. Obviously, some of these, picks, they have protections on it to where, like the Sixers, for example, I think have a top 6 protected pick.
Right.
In the off chance that they fall out of the top 6, they won't keep their pick. It'll go to, who does it go to? It goes to Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City, they're a machine, obviously.
OKC getting more picks? That's not fair.
Yeah. I know Portland has a protected pick. I think these other teams at the top have a protected pick. Obviously, I think there's a high percent chance of them keeping their actual pick. I don't know what the protections are for all of them, but Philadelphia is one where it's like, if this falls out of the top, whatever, they lose their pick. That kind of happened to, I think it was Toronto last year. Right. Toronto had it was either like a top 6 or top 8 protected pick. They didn't fall within that range and they lose their pick. So that's one thing. Obviously, you never know which one of these teams can leap up into, not even just for the number one pick, but for the top 4. Right. Because every team has at least a 3% chance of being in the top 4. If you're in the top 10, you have at least a 17% chance of being in the top 4. And so that adds, interest in like that adds intrigue to it. And the Utah Jazz, for example, and these other 2 teams that I mentioned, Washington and Charlotte, they have a 52% chance of being in the top 4. So they have obviously a greater than not chance of, having a top 4 pick. Obviously, we've seen what happens. Like Detroit was with team for at least, I want to say it happened like 2 or 3 times where they had the number 1 odds, but still went to 5.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's just how like the luck drew for them. That happened last year with them. Obviously, a few years ago, they landed the number 1 pick and got Cade Cunningham. But the draft lottery is always fun. It's obviously more fun if like you're a bad team,
right?
In a draft like this, and you get the number 1 pick for someone like Cooper Flag. Obviously, that's not to knock, Dylan, VJ, Ace, all of the other guys within that top 5, Trey Johnson, like those are excellent consolation prizes, but obviously Cooper Flag is the cream of the crop, as we've talked about before. And so everyone's going to want that number 1 pick. Weird stuff has happened in the draft lottery where teams, vault teams.
Right.
Again, like the Hawks last year. I don't remember where the Spurs were at when they got Wemby, but I want to say they leaped at least a few spots, no?
Yeah, I had it pulled up a little bit earlier, but I'm not going to pull it up again. But yes, they did. They ended up with the 4th and the 8th pick last year, and then they traded away the 8th pick.
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about like when they got Wemby. Didn't they leap up?
Oh, when they got Wemby, I think so. I'm not 100% sure because my brain isn't nearly as sharp as it used to be. But I had a question for you. Do you know? Okay, 2 spots. Do you know when the draft lottery is going to take place on Monday? Because it's not listed here on my screen.
I want to say it's right before the playoffs. So I want to say like 7 Eastern. Hold on, let me. NBA draft lottery.
He said playoffs.
Like right before the playoff games that night.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
I just hope we can win a game.
7 p.m. Eastern, says Matt Hanifan. All right. Yeah. So Monday is a day we look forward to have some fun. Maybe it'll be on playback and we'll watch it on playback together. June 15th, the 2025 NBA early entry withdrawal deadline by 5 p.m. Eastern. That is the date me and Matt Hanifan have been talking about for players to throw their hat back in the ring to go to college and take the bag of that NIL money.
This isn't for college. This is for international.
Is it?
They didn't list the college deadline. The college is May 29th, I believe.
Oh. Well, Matt Hanifan's information is more up to date than NBA.com.
Hold on, because I think that's just for everyone. Like, obviously the college deadline's already passed, but for college and international / G League, players.
The deadline stuff always is confusing to me because if the college deadline is passed, how could Boogie Flan still be getting an NIL deal possibly?
Well, he can still transfer to another school, like.
Right. So what does it matter if he pulled his name out or not of the early entry? It doesn't, right?
Well, he entered the portal, he's still maintaining college. Like he put his name in the draft. He didn't
retain an agent.
College eligibility,
right?
And so, if he were to take his name out, he would just be transferring to another school and getting the NIL money.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Kinda. I still need to pursue that further, and maybe we'll have a whole episode on it and have somebody on that's an expert because it's still confusing to me. Because what's the point of the deadline then?
The deadline is just for anyone. Like it's like for anyone, like whether they go back to school or transfer or not. Like,
yeah,
that's what it is. Like, I could not be transferring, and I could still, be returning to my previous program that I was at. And so that's what the deadline would be for.
Interesting. Okay. We'll explore it a little bit more, but I think you're right about that. It's just still confusing to me.
I want to say it's May 29th. It's either May 29th or the 30th.
Because maybe my brain is broke. So all right, but that's still to come yet. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that as well. Let's see. June 25th is the actual NBA draft. It is go time, big production time at 8 p.m. Eastern. We still haven't decided whether we're doing that here or on 5 Reasons playback. I can't recall. I would imagine we're probably going to do it with 5 Reasons.
I think so. Okay, so not May 29th, May 28th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern.
There it is. Again, Matt Hanifan was right. This is why you should watch, like, subscribe, follow Matt on Twitter on, what is it, MPH_.
A24_.
There it is. I'll remember it one day. But yeah, that's all I got, Matt. You said there was some stuff you wanted to talk about prior to what's coming on. So we're going to open up the roundtable portion of our discussion. And I should have been using this segment markers the entire time, but I forgot. And we will title this segment Roundtable.
I hit on most of the stuff that I wanted to hit on.
All right, cool. So that is the segment that we're going to push notify out to everybody that Matt has already talked about everything that he really wanted to hit on. So join us next time. Playback.tv/hoops profile. Also follow us on the 5RSN channel of the same domain, playback.tv/5RSN. And on YouTube under Hoops Profile. You can follow me, Digital Adele, on all social media channels, including Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, all that. I'm still working out the details whether I'm going to be able to go to NBA Summer League. So stay tuned for that. About another week or two, I will have a final answer on that. Matt, anything else you wanted to say? Do you want to shout out any other your work like Hot Out Hoops or anything like that?
Yeah, man. Hot Out Hoops, VendettaSportsMedia.com, MountainWestConnection.com, in addition to playback.tv/5RSN, where we will be watching more NBA games, in addition to the draft stuff that we just talked about, and more. It's Summer League, all that stuff. But also playback.tv/hoops profile. It'd be great if I could talk. Where we were at right now, because I just can't talk. My brain thinks so much quicker than my mouth, and it's crazy.
It would be so great if I could talk in the speaking gig that I'm actively on.
You're correct. Yeah, it'd be great if I could talk. Yeah.
We all have those moments, man. It's cool. But, man, this was a blast. We're going to do it again on Thursday. We'll see you guys next time.